Binance gets $10 billion fine for fixing dollar-naira exchange rates. Federal government sets date for food distribution to vulnerable Nigerians nationwide. House of Representatives seeks review of Oronsaye report. Plus oil rises as markets await OPEC Plus decision amid mixed demand drivers. The program is Business Express, reaching you from Abuja, Nigeria's capital. I am Musa Abubakar, your guide. And now let's begin by telling you that the federal government has slammed a $10 billion fine on cryptocurrency trading platform Binance for allegedly impacting on the country's foreign exchange market crisis. Special advisor to the president on information and strategy, Bayo Onanuga, revealed this in an interview with the British Broadcasting Corporation, BBC. Onanuga said that Binance is not present or registered in Nigeria, adding that users were arbitrarily fixing dollar-naira exchange rates on the platform, which had a detrimental effect on the value of the local currency. The Senate is fine-tuning a legislation that will enable continuous review and monitoring of all existing and proposed budgetary decisions of the federal government. National Assembly correspondent Lamia Lee reports that a bill to that effect has passed second reading.
The only semblance of recognition of scrutiny and or analysis of budget of the National Assembly of the Federation is the Appropriation Committee.
It will guide our line of discussion as to how best we can address the present economic realities confronting us as a nation.
This bill has been long overdue.
Especially against the backdrop of the fact that it is in tandem with international best practice.
As we speak, whatever information we get from the executive arm of government. So what they tell us is what we use as a source of information. But when we have this office, we also have our own information, our reservoir information that can be used to check whatever is given to us by anybody.
Meanwhile, the House of Representatives is urging President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to carry out a comprehensive review of the 2012 Oronsaye panel report on restructuring of government parastatals before implementation, adopting a motion of urgent public importance by Representative Kama Kanma and two other lawmakers. The House expressed concern that full implementation of report 12 years after may not reflect the current situation in the public service of the Federation.
Reactions continue to trail the Tinubu administration's decision to reduce the cost of governance by implementing the Steve Oronsaye panel report, which recommended restructuring of federal agencies and parastatals. In the Green Chamber, lawmakers voted for a thorough review of the decision, expressing concern over unintended consequences during implementation.
The full implementation of the report will not substantially reduce the cost of governance, as it does not reflect the current situation in the public service of the Federation.
An ad hoc committee headed by House Leader Julius Ihonwiri was constituted. to advise on appropriate steps.
To examine the recommendation by the executive on the restructuring of federal agencies and commissions, recommend legislation to accommodate the proposals, liaise with the affected agencies and commissions on all issues related to the proposed reforms, recommend legislative measures to mitigate possible fallouts of the reforms, advise the House on issues related to smooth implementation and related matters.
From the National Assembly, Mitaire Ikben.
And now to our discussion segment. For any society to make meaningful progress, there ought to be a competent and cost-effective management system that is capable of maximizing the nation's scarce resources to the benefit of all. Earlier in the week, President Tinubu took decisive action to address the issue of efficient resource allocation by implementing measures recommended by the Orosaye-led committee. In our conversation today, we will explore the potential economic consequences of these cost-cutting measures as well as their significance for Nigeria's progress. Our guest is none other than Niyi Akisiju, development economist. You're welcome to Business Experts.
Thanks so much. Privilege to be here.
Well, I think it's important at this point to really establish the importance of having a cost-cutting measure when it comes to governance. So, how important is this in today's governance?
In contemporary world, a lean government is the trend. The smaller the bureaucracy, because when you talk about government, you're actually talking about bureaucracy. And that is to say that the leaner the bureaucracy, the faster the pace of decision making. And of course, you have, at the end of the day, you have a government that is compact enough to be able to deliver on the mandates of government, as it were. So, a major attribute of that is also to reduce as much as possible overlapping agencies with overlapping responsibilities. Once you have that, it is important you create, you facilitate an incision, of those kind of institutions in the system. When you have overlapping agencies outside the bureaucracy, it has cost implication. And in today's world, where the consideration is for effective, optimized use of resources, you don't want to waste resources on institutions that are actually overlapping and that are actually doing the same thing. So it only stands to reason to find a way of cutting them off. Let's be factual. The step to take at this point is also to consider the fact that recurrent expenditure, mostly made up of allowances, salaries, and overheads of government workers, had been perhaps the largest items on the nation's budget annually, perhaps until the exception had been the 2024 budget. Before now, when we're talking about the highest drawer of budget allocation, it's actually the recurrent, and this is the bulk of this is made up of workers, in the federal civil service, and the federal civil service, to my mind, is made up of 524 departments and agencies, even to the heirs. That is huge, and I think it is important we give serious attention that the president is giving to the Orosaye report, as it were.
Okay, talking about the Orosaye report, what do you think the implementation of the report when it comes to recommendation, what will it contribute to maximizing Nigeria's scarce resources?
The immediate impact will be a reduction in recurrent expenditure, because I believe that overheads, even if we are not talking about personnel costs, overhead costs will be reduced. Where you have similar overlapping agencies, in some cases 3 of them, maintaining and sustaining 3 headquarters, and to that, by extension, also sustaining similar level of branch offices across the states where they operate. The accounting procedure would be to first start cutting off all those overheads, and cutting off the overheads would easily, reflect in the expenditure, as it were. So, and of course, we have so many things that we need this saved money as it is to channel into, especially the capital budget. Thankfully, the 2024 budget has a strong capital budget item. Again, another departure from what it used to be in the past, doing about 9-point-something trillion, above for the first time the recurrent expenditure. So if we are able to save even if it's 2 trillion, between 2 and 3 trillion in the first 1 or 2 years of the implementation of the Orosoye report, and channel that or rechannel that into the capital budget for 2024, it will mean that there will be enough firepower as it is, or let's say money power, to execute more capital projects that would impact more Nigerians, because the obvious explanation is that when you deliver on capital projects, the people that are not even near government enjoy it more than the current expenditure, which goes directly to workers in the federal government service.
But there's this argument that we've seen that, and we somehow applaud the move, but that itself is not enough. What about the House of Assembly? What about the judiciary? There's so much that has been added to their budget. Don't you think, or how, if they're calling for somehow kind of a chunk should also be sliced from those other branch of government?
Well, there are structures, there are constitutional structures actually for these arms of government as they are, and I don't think I want to join those who want to create a fable out of them. We are talking about serious issues here. The judiciary, for instance, as far as I'm concerned, we don't even have enough personnel manning judicial positions, The more judicial officers we have, up to the ward level, and that is to say that up to the customary court or the magistrate court level, the better for us, because at the heart of human existence is equity, and it's most of the time is the officers of in the judiciary that facilitate equity, and so you need more of that. Then, talking about the legislative arm, we have 2 chambers of law that makes up our National Assembly, the Federal House of Representatives and the Senate, as it were. Now, those are constitutional creation. I don't want to talk so much.
Some are actually calling for a kind of a unilateral, unicameral legislature instead of the bicameral legislature, so that to save cost.
Well, I don't know how much we want to save, because the last I heard, the 2024 budget allocation to the National Assembly, I think is about 125 billion, between 140 and 150 billion naira. I think we should also look at the fact that it is not about those members that were elected that are being serviced by the sum allocated to the National Assembly. You have a huge bureaucracy there too, and it is important you have not just a bureaucracy, a knowledgeable bureaucracy, because the chambers of lawmaking are perhaps the most important aspect of lawmaking in Nigeria, and they need to have a base, an intellectual base, to be able to process laws that are not just impactful but are contemporary. So in considering costing, for instance, in this consideration, you want to look at if what they have been doing, have not been justified. So it's justification. The Orosoye report that we are talking about is also about justification. Does it make sense for us to have 2-3 institutions that share the same mandate, that have the same outlook, and of course that have clearly clearly observed overlapping responsibilities and mandates. So those are the indexes that should determine what should go and what should be retained.
Okay. What steps can the government take now to ensure the successful implementation of these cost-cutting measures? And are there any potential resistance or obstacles that need to be addressed?
There will be, because a lot of interest would be put asunder. You know, when it comes to matter of interest in Nigeria, there can be so much backlash, you know. So I know that a number of very influential people would also want to intervene. So it's important that government keeps its focus. It's also important that we are not sentimental about this. If we want to save more money for our capital projects, this is where to start from, you know. And then, of course, there should be preparation to prepare people that eventually, not in the immediate, I don't think there will be layoffs in the immediate, but eventually there will be a form of layoff. You cannot have 3 DGs in a new institution that is supposed to contain that's supposed to have a merger of 3 different institutions. There will be a layoff of one kind or the other. There should be resources to be able to create a soft landing, you know, for those who are affected. There should be resources to ensure that those that will be affected are properly properly trained and enabled to settle in out of government work or job, as it were.
Okay, thank you very much, Nia Kisiju. Development economist. It's always a pleasure having you on the program.
Thanks so much. It's a privilege.
Now, moving on, the federal government says all plans have been concluded for the commencement of food distribution to vulnerable Nigerians nationwide. Minister for Agriculture and Food Security, Abubakar Kyari, says the flag for the distribution of the grains will be in Niger State and subsequently in other zones of the Federation. The minister reveals that the Office of the National Security Advisor and all relevant stakeholders will partner to ensure smooth and transparent distribution of the food items.
We are going to start making deliveries, and as they go, and we are targeting local governments anyway. So we take it to the states and then on to the local government. So it will be on the template of NEMA. NEMA is the one doing the distribution, and the Office of the National Security Advisor.
Sir, thank you. Also procured more than 120 trucks of assorted grains to complement the federal government's food palliative distribution. He says President Bola Tinubu is expected to be in the state next week for the distribution of the food items. Now, meanwhile, the Jigawa state government has approved more than 15.4 billion naira for road construction and purchase of food palliatives for the needy in the state. Muhammad Musa Askira reports that this was the outcome of the State Executive Council's meeting.
The Jigawa State Executive Council approved about 13.5 billion naira for the completion of the 17 ongoing road projects across the state before the rainy season sets in to disrupt the construction process. Briefing journalists on the resolution of the State Executive Council, Information Commissioner Sagir Musa Hamid says approval of close to 2 billion naira was also granted for the purchase and distribution of rice and spaghetti, among other food items, to the needy in the state as they get set to face the fasting season, which is less than 2 weeks away from now. Sagir Musa Hamid further notes that the council also approved the inclusion of the state civil servants in the ongoing agricultural loan scheme to boost much desired food security in Jigawa and by extension the country at large.
This loan will comprise of inputs. It will comprise opportunity for farmers to have farmland that they can be able to cultivate through our cluster programs, and at the same time to be able to give them the opportunity to participate actively in the agricultural revolution in the state. That's what the program is all about.
From Duty, Muhammad Musa Askira.
And now let's head to energy market where oil prices edge up on Friday and we're set to end the week modestly higher as markets awaited an OPEC Plus decision on supply agreements for the second quarter amid differing demand indicators for key consumers in U.S. and China. Brent futures for May climbed 31 cents to $82.22 a barrel, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude for April rose 24 cents to $78.50. WTI is on track for at least a 2.5% increase this week, while Brent is holding near last week's settlement price. Brent was hovered comfortably above the $80 mark for 3 weeks. Gold eyes second weekly gain on gradually easing U.S. inflation. Let's now see prices of other commodities. The Nigerian Economic Summit Group is partnering with Conference of Speakers of State Legislature of Nigeria to work together to identify and develop initiatives geared towards promoting the subnational business environment. This is in a bid to achieve competitiveness and sustainable growth across the Federation.
By creating a conducive ecosystem for businesses to thrive, state governments can unlock economic opportunities for innovation, job creation, and wealth generation. Ultimately, a vibrant private sector supported by an enabling business environment lays the foundation for a prosperous, inclusive, and resilient economy.
We also would like to collaborate on ways that we can amend the laws. How do we amend laws to create a more conducive business environment for the private sector? We were in Ikiti, I believe, last week, and we had a fruitful deliberation to look for ways, in collaboration with the U.S. consulate and the charge d'affaires of the U.S. embassy as well, to see how we can create that business environment. But the aberration in that is that we are more concerned about the local private sector rather than the foreign direct investment for now.
And now to global stock market where, global global stocks are buoyant as investors bank on rate cuts. Let's now join Bosede Ebel as she brings us up to speed on global stock market. Hello, Bosede. What's the sentiment in the market?
Well, for today, European market moved higher on Friday to start the new trading month after a win in February as investors access fresh inflation data out of the Eurozone. DAX topped 0.29%, FTSE 0.47%, while Francis CAC 40 dipped 0.27%. In Asia, Japan's Nikkei 225 ended just short of breaching the 40,000 level, leading gains in Asian stocks on Friday, while China market rose as investors digested manufacturing data from the mainland. The Nikkei 225 topped 1.90% at 39,910.82. The Shanghai Composite 0.39% at 3,027.02, and the Hang Seng Index also topped 0.47% across 16,589.44. Stock futures in the U.S. edged lower Friday after the market wrapped up its fourth winning month, and the tech-heavy Nasdaq Composite reached its first closing record since November 2021. Dow Jones Industrial Average dipped 62 points, S&P 0.14%, and Nasdaq followed suit at 0.06%. For Africa, the market closed the first trading day in the in the month of March, mostly negative, except Ghana's GSE Composite, which appreciated 0.37% at 3,240.36 basis points. That's the market review for the first trading day in the month of March. Over to you, Musa.
Well, what a trading day.
Yep.
Well, now let's head to NGX market, where the bears dominated traded on the Nigerian equities market to close Friday's trading on a negative note. The NGX all-share index depreciated to 98,751.98 basis point from 99,980 points the previous day. Market capitalization dropped to 54.035 trillion naira. 367.62 0 million shares exchanged hands by investors on the floor of the exchange, valued at 6,782 billion naira, traded in 9,168 deals. But that's it. This is where we end today's edition of Business Express. We value your feedback, so keep the comments, observations, and suggestions coming. Be informed that all previous episodes are available on YouTube on NTA's channel. Business Express returns on Monday. It's a pleasure having you.